Coming up tonight, we show you how to save tons of cash. Rick gets confused by a circuit tracer. Gordon dives into all things patents. The burner phone is back. And Gary has man flu.
I really must start this week with an apology because this week's eFIXX TV, we're all suffering from man flu. And of course, if you need man flu, you need some remedies for it. And Gary pops down to the local supermarket. He buys the branded Lemsip Max Cold and Flu, where I go for the Morrison's Max Strength Cold Flu Relief Powder for oral suspension, which I think is just as good, but it's half the price of Gary's.
Orally? You take yours orally?
And it's the same thing when it comes to connectors. Manufacturers introduce a little bit of innovation to the market, and as a system gets adopted, more manufacturers weigh in, perhaps adding their own take on the innovation. So it's perhaps time for a little bit of innovation to spread amongst smoke alarms and fire detectors. And this one here fits easily into this base.
I think it's perhaps time for a change. Roll the show. As you can tell from the intro, you're going to be in for a fun one this evening as we're live on both Facebook and on YouTube with the hot topic, are you paying too much for your smoke alarms, Gordon?
It is, and we'll try and get through this without a horrendous man flu.
Yes, yeah. So I've been sniffing all week, I have.
It is, yeah. But, you have. You gave it to me, and luckily everyone's sitting at home. Can't catch it over YouTube, I hope. Anyway, some people we haven't seen for a while. 7 Up Sam's back in.
Oh, brilliant. Well done, Sam, for returning.
Yeah.
Also, we've had an early shout out for the time as well, haven't we, from a good friend?
Yep, nothing like getting an early Sean. It's 35.
Unfortunately, you only get one guest, Sean, so it's actually
baked in.
Yeah,
and obviously Jenny's favourite Roy Horn's already sneaked on there. So
Roy, we're hoping you get the phone number as much as we do, and we reckon Jenny will be taking the phone home with her if that is the case. But that comes around in a minute. We've got some American news. We like a bit of international news, don't we?
We have actually. Just bring a little picture there. Good news on the 13 amp socket now. It has made it now to America.
Ooh,
obviously.
Lovely.
Donald's in the Donald, and he did say he liked us, so it was now the British standard receptacle.
We've finally got a receptacle in the BS 1363 receptacle.
Yeah,
okay,
so this is the product we know and love, now available in an American receptacle format. Now, this was sent in by a viewer in the US who was quite, how would that work in America? That's Mark Berman, who sent that in earlier this week, and I said we'd give it a quick call to looking at, because obviously some challenges in America. They have a split phase system.
Yep.
So, and he said if you configure that for split phase, there is no neutral.
Right, okay.
That's the first problem.
Yeah. Yep.
And so it'll be interesting to see that. But I think this is probably 2 applications. Sometimes you do see, even in British hotels, you sometimes see they'll sneak a little American plug in there. That one you stay at down near the O2.
Yes.
Yep.
I wonder what you're going
Obviously, I'm a little bit geeky when it comes to hotel electrics, as anyone will know from previous holiday videos.
Yes.
We obviously put an extra socket in to help people from travellers to plug in their appliances. Obviously, that can cause some challenges in this country, because if you're plugging in an American appliance, it's not quite for the right voltage.
No, it can't.
Double the voltage that was 120.
Yeah, it could shorten the life of the item you've plugged in. I noticed the picture of those people, very aspirational. They'd really made it, and they were rocking back there. That guy said, life's working well for me. So
that's working well. So I think that is probably, I could see some American hotels sneaking that in, just to keep us happy when we go there, and then you realise your hairdryer's working at half power, Gary.
Okay, and it won't last very long.
Or it could be for Saudi Arabia,
okay,
where depending on where you are in Saudi Arabia, sometimes they use the American voltage, sometimes the British. It's just mixed up a bit. Keeps everyone happy.
Oh, it does, doesn't it?
There you go.
We're not going to keep everyone happy this evening. I don't think there's certain words that I'm not allowed to say, apart from the absolute obvious ones that I don't think we've ever said on the show, have we? In all the years we've been doing it. We're not even sure how many of these shows we've done, but I'm guaranteeing you now this is going to be thought-provoking. And in order to do that, we need an amazing guest, and boy, have we got one for you tonight. It's Chris from HiSpec. Come and join us, Chris. welcome to the show, Chris.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. Obviously, people won't know who you are, so we'd like to give them a little 60 seconds flavour of yourself. If you want to sprinkle in any of your electrical genius at the same time, it will help them try and work out, unlike Sean, who's gone nice and early with his time, they'll work out whether you can do any good on the race hall. Chris, 60 seconds, tell us about yourself.
Yeah, it would take a lot less than 6 seconds to talk about my electrical knowledge and skill set. But yeah, no, I've been with HiSpec for 13 years now. Started as a sales rep. We started to grow gradually as a team, got a sales team around us, national sales manager, sales director, and took over as managing director last year. Background really is very competitive as a person, like in sport, and always been very highly motivated and highly aggressively competitive in anything I do. And I think in the last 5 years, we've had really significant growth, and I think a lot of that is down to just being 100 miles an hour lunatic trying to take over the world. So we're having a crack at it.
Right, so I'm reading there highly competitive, so that should give you a whiff maybe of the race. We're not going to turn up there, are we? Stand around doing a lousy job if we're highly competitive. Now, for those people who want a little bit of that, also done a bit of cage fighting back in the past. Bit like myself, I knew when you walked in, I'm 6'4", you're 6'4" as well. Probably around about the same sort of weight as well for fighting. I'll put you back when I said not this time, but Chris, you sort of stepped up. Record, give us a little bit of an understanding of your fighting prowess.
Yeah, no, for a few times amateur, a few times semi-pro, Thai boxing, more boxing. Never been knocked out, so I'll take it.
Oh,
yes.
There we go.
Lucky there's a seat between us.
It is, Gary. I'm just here
to.
if this gets serious and kicks off later on, you'll just see me moving out of the way.
Yeah, me too. Yeah. Right. Okay. So we've got a little bit of understanding there that maybe electrical knowledge is very distant in your past.
Yeah.
Bit of DIY at home?
No.
That comes from IKEA?
Yeah, and got a father-in-law who can do it better than I can.
Nice, we like that. Well, that obviously means it is time for everyone viewing at home to join in. Chris is going to be taking on the Electricians Challenge. Has he hoodwinked us? Last week's visit, he said he was a dabbler from Norway and actually did impeccably well. So where do you think Chris will come? Put your time in minutes and seconds. Sean Dempsey's already set the bar quite reasonably high at 4 minutes 35. That's baked in. And so get your time in. I
would suggest anyone who joined us in Math Stabs, where you gave a little bit of a wristwatch look at what you thought your time, and that would have helped you at this stage if you joined us in the pre-live show. But of course, if you haven't done, you've just got 28 seconds left to decide how Chris is going to get on this race before we roll straight into. Remember, you only need one name, so you don't need to put anyone's name in, just that top.
Getting there.
Nice.
Oh, right, there's people in there.
I'm going to have to cough, so maybe you want to mute my mic. Here we go. So we're going to mute my mic.
There we go. We've got someone being in the aspiration 11 minutes 22.
and how is your wife this evening? So, here we go. Then I'm going to roll straight into it. Chris, feel free to defend yourself. If it gets a bit leery, son, stay in your seat. You don't want any trouble you've got to deal with. Here we go then. So we know it's going to be you, Chris, first. You're a strapping lad at 6'4", so one of the tallest people ever to take on the race wall. And here we go. So down into the marital propose to start with, the one knee. We notice the hair there. I like the way you've under-sculpted it. So obviously you get that throwback. When you're at the weekends, it obviously hangs down and dresses quite nicely. Here we go. So you've had some tips off me. So this should be a good start to the race wall. Obviously, what are you doing now? Oh, good. Went back for the tape. Okay, so we want about a couple of hands, fist width only before we do. Ooh. Did you watch the demo? Oh, you go around the corner. Hey! There we go. We'll make that again. So anyone who just spotted that, the underwear was white. Yes, we can notice it. We've had an attempt. Okay, so what did I say to you? The rule was, if it doesn't go in the first hole very well, it ain't going to come out the bottom very well, is it? And on the top. So here we go. Pull it round the corner. Hope for the best. A little bit of wristwatch action there. We're looking at trying to work out how expensive that was. If we go around the corner. Little wedding ring there to disappoint the other ladies in the audience. Yes, he is married, folks. And pull. And cut it off. That was a trick. When I showed you how to cut it off, we're back for the tools. Did we bring anything with them? It's your slowest time possibly of the three. We don't know yet, but obviously we'll have to wait and see. So 3 attempts. This is attempt number 1. Now, this is good. These are great for stripping. How did you find them, Chris?
When I remembered to use them, they were spot on, and I could find them as well, because I kept putting them down behind me, and there you go, looking again.
Right, okay. Gives us a chance to look at your underwear. So, again, nice and tall, no step required for you as you lean in to see those cage terminals open up. And now it's working out which one's going where. So, no electrical knowledge.
Whoa. There's a lot of copper.
The one thing I'd recommend after one of your installations would be a smoke and heat. Yeah, he's trying to get future work here. Wow.
Oh, nice.
There's a
You
lot
nearly
of
got a
copper.
short circuit there. That's good. We'll need Rick's tester that's coming up a little bit later on.
And then obviously the protective conductor is in. It's looking reasonable though. Again, it's not about need, it's about fun. How much fun can you have installing a socket outlet?
Looking reasonable. Is that what you used to tell the students?
No, reasonable wouldn't have been.
Is that one of your top tips?
No,
It's looking very reasonable there.
Anyone who's
slow.
been taught with me know that reasonable wouldn't be a word for improving feedback. I was pretty brutal with my feedback, folks. So here we go, just the connection. They got the fly lead to do. I suppose that was something new as well. I said to keep it a reasonable length. Did you manage to do that? Looking for the screwdriver again. A lot of the way you
keep
look to the
moving.
box first of all, before you work out which one it is. And we're in. How long's that fly lead? Not very long. I did say to you that's a common mistake, isn't it? Leaving it too short. And that is going to make it a little bit more difficult now for the solar. Were you comfortable with the connections in the back of it, Chris?
Yeah, it's just I did not realise how, obviously not being from an electrical background, how much you have to unscrew it to open, as you say, open the window.
Yeah.
To then pop it in.
Yeah, drop it in. Okay, and a little bit. You can tell you've never used a screwdriver before, but you were trying to use your wrist, and almost rotating.
We're trying
the
to force
shoulder
it in,
up. Yeah. So not the greatest start in the world. So absolutely no DIY would I suggest in your house? Is that what you do?
Yeah.
Painting?
Yeah. No.
No. Okay. Well, if you can't paint, you can't do anything.
Got the lawn?
No.
No. Nice.
Right. Does the wife do the lawn?
Yes, that's why it's always long.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh, so now you're complaining about it.
Can't get it staff.
Occasionally. These connections, folks, look like they're going to be an absolute 5 hours late. Oh, no. This is not boding well. Sean Dempsey's not taking any prizes this evening. Let's have a quick look.
Just force it in. Just force it
Look
in.
how quick that went on, though. Okay, brilliant piece of editing.
Well, quick to hide it.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, for those people who didn't realise, you're actually kneeling down there. Most people are about that tall, standing up. Nick Ramo's in jealousy country now as you jump up. Well, I don't know about well done there. Okay, let's hope that was your worst attempt.
I think it was, but I think the second one was just as bad. But then the third one, I felt like I was getting into the flow a bit.
Okay.
I was remembering the different elements.
Aspects of it. So you're thinking the third attempt's your fastest. We won't know until Gordon jumps up like a gazelle and finds out for me how that is going. So if you're going to go up there, I'm going to come and join you over at the wall. There is 2 walls, Chris, and I'm not exactly confident that we're going to be over here at this one. Gordon's going to have a look at the time. That's not a great look, Gordon, is it?
I'm in the wrong place.
Well, let's first, hang on, let's ask Chris. Chris, where do you think?
Thinking 9, 10 minutes.
All right, no, I think that's fair. I mean, I must say, I hurt my knee earlier in the week, and that's just as well. I won't have to be bending down anywhere. But no, it's not. It's
not dire.
It's not in the 8 minutes.
Oh, right, okay, good.
But we're shifting into 7 now. Actually,
7's good.
Yeah. Now we've got Andy Wigg from Schneider Electric there.
Okay, yeah.
Jamie Henfield from RF Solutions. So we're in classic electrical, manufacturing territory here.
Yeah, okay.
Sitting right in the middle there.
That's nice.
Sandwich between RF Solutions and Schneider Electric.
I'll take that.
Go.
That's a bit of top branding, isn't it?
Yeah,
Who wouldn't want to be in that position?
Yeah, exactly. I'll take that.
He's above Aaron.
Above Aaron. He's above Aaron. We said that for a long time.
Above Aaron, but below Aaron.
Oh, okay, yeah. But below because of, the way at some point today, I was a bit panicking that you might be the slowest person ever to take it. I think your first run was pretty slow.
Yeah, I think that was like 15 minutes, I think.
Okay, yeah, it was, yeah. You said at one point you looked at your wristwatch. This is what you did when we were out at Mastabs. You said, I looked at my wristwatch and I was pleased to see I was in about 10 minutes. I was like, wow, pleased to see. You got 7, so that's good. So that's a cracky little time.
You got a relative, Wayne, have you?
Yeah, that's my dad.
Yeah. Oh well, he's brilliant. There you go. So, obviously, we do.
One way to get embarrassed on live TV, isn't it?
Yeah, and everyone who gets a top trump card. Which,
and a
if
t-shirt,
you
which is directly behind you.
it is, there is a
Directly
t-shirt,
behind you.
yeah.
You can only get one of these by coming on the show. You lift it out, you'll see on
And
the
take
back.
the challenge.
Yeah, and take the challenge.
Yeah.
eFIXX TV.
Yeah.
Lovely.
We do make a top trump that we'll quite happily send through so that people can put it up in the office just to remember your time there. So there you go. And the winner is a P. Taylor who gets to ring Jenny on the burner phone. And we have put some credit in it this week.
Yes.
It was quite interesting because they popped down to town and Jenny, obviously blatantly honest, we need some credit for a phone we only use once a week to sort out a delivery.
Yeah. And we like to call it the burner phone. Yeah. Lucky you served us. So while we wait for that to ring, obviously this is your time to shine. And I love a level playing field. And often in our industry there isn't a level playing field, but it looks like maybe nowadays there might be. So we're going to delve into this a little bit.
Yeah, we've got a little shot of a new product from HiSpec. Yeah. Let's just play that. If we can bring.
Power going on. Right, okay, just at the same time, the burner phone is going in the background. I've looked up there, my old favourite, and that's not because I've got a cold, I've got a whiff, I recognise some bits there. Okay, this is HiSpec, is that right, Gordon?
It is HiSpec.
That's what I read on the front of this is HiSpec, yeah? Okay.
HiSpec.
Right, okay, I think there's lots of us to unpack and look at. Love your comments, folks, there'll be words that I can't use during this stream, but maybe you can in the comments. Brilliant, okay, fantastic. Smoke and heat detectors. Target market.
Social housing.
Right, okay.
So we've, for the last 10, 12 years, we've been initially delving our foot in a smoke, a heat, a carbon monoxide detector, independently powered, battery only, no interlinkable features. And then the last few years on, we started developing the range into 10, 12 different products. And then now up to 38, 39 products in the range, all from radio frequency, mains interconnectable, battery radio frequency, a hybrid system, that sort of thing, and the ancillary devices. But the biggest thing we've been getting for the last couple of years is in social housing, you know, there's 95% of the housing stock is predominantly got the same alarm system installed, and once you remove the head, it's very easy just to pop a new head on.
Okay.
So what we've done is we've taken our components, our PCB, our design of our smoke alarm that's in our smaller, neat and discreet range of products that we currently sell, and we've put that into a larger body that will happily connect and slide onto an existing base / power source.
Just at that stage, I think we've got to just play another little asset so we can carry on from this point forward. So if you want to play that little asset for us, please, the
Before
disclaimer.
we dive in, a quick disclaimer. It is important to note that this fire alarm is designed to be interconnected with other high-spec fire safety devices. Connecting it with different brands or models may cause damage or pose risks like electric shock or fire hazards.
Okay, that's interesting for me because obviously it'll work everywhere, but obviously that market is massive, isn't it, for social housing? And the likelihood is that after a period of time, that all the detecting devices within that installation, which could be 40,000, it could be 4,000, all are going to mature at the same time. In other words, run out of time. Just remind me, because some people forget this one, how often should a detection system in a dwelling be replaced at a maximum interval of?
Yeah, exactly. So probably every 10 years is really recommended as a maximum lifespan of an alarm. Decorating cycles are 7 years, so that tends to be a good time for changes. EICRs, all manufacturers are 5-year warranty as a maximum. So anywhere from 5 to 10 years, but predominantly 7 to 8 because of the decorating cycle.
And this is something how social housing take really seriously, don't they? Their tenants at the end of the day are very important to them. So obviously having a regular cycle of replacing them is a really good idea.
Yeah, exactly right. And the idea being that if one alarm needs replacing, whether it's down to a low battery or a component failure, whatever, the idea is that if one in that system has gone down, majority, common sense would say that they're all going to go down at the same time or within the next few weeks, months. So best practice would be to replace them all at the same time.
Okay, yeah, that makes logical sense from their point of view. And that's, you said 95% of the market is probably consumed by one brand, is that right?
Yeah.
Okay, but I always find difficult when only one person's actually got the control of that. They've got the control of power in the financial aspects as well. And we'll come back to that at some point. Now, we never mention money, but I think you probably will mention money at some point in here as people start to feed in their comments as well. Now, I would argue, though, however, where you've got a base system that can be rotated out with yours or others that fit the same base plate. If I had one and I was doing a bit of personal decorating, I would maybe run a roller over it or smashed it with a handle, and they're a couple of years old, we strongly recommend, don't we, that that's replaced like for like with what's in the system. Is that right?
Exactly right. This product it's innovative in the sense that the cost saving over a longer term period on the full replacement of a system is where the real savings and benefits come. Like for like, you should never mix manufacturers.
Okay, and that's partially in the disclaimer as well, just to make sure we get that open and front and clear.
Yeah, and it's all our instruction manuals, that sort of thing, user guides.
I'm going to bring Handcam in now just to have a little look at it, because I've seen this a lot, okay, and I'm sure our viewers have as well. There's always words that we won't mention. You can mention them in the comments. And exactly the same as we're totally used to. Gordon, will you hold it for me? Because even I'm going to struggle to do it with one hand when I don't check.
Yeah. Oh, there you go.
We go. So pop that one up. Okay, we've got our interconnection, we've got our line, and we've got our neutral connection there and a protective conductor connection. A plate with a series of holes in it in order that we can make our connections. And as always, cables come through, make our connections. Often lose these at colleges. We used to fit these style ones at colleges. Clip it back
Was
into
that part of
position.
the college?
Yes, it was. Yeah, had to do it.
Is it still?
Yes, I think it is. I'll just have to check. And then, Gordon, if you hold that for me just so I can show. Oh, you're going to do it? Okay. I didn't want to.
What, clicking it in?
Yeah, well.
Even that can
Yeah,
do
go on,
this.
it won't trust you. Okay.
There we go.
Right, okay then, Gordon. So there's a screwdriver. Just undo it because you're not as good as me at this. I'm brilliant at this.
Yeah.
Just a gentle push, Gordon. Okay, and then you separate the two. So there you go. Wow. There.
I've been watching you, Gary.
Yeah.
I'll listen to your tutorials.
Yeah, thank you very much. That's a great system. Well done for HiSpec for coming up with that. I love it. Absolutely love it. What a great system. If you've seen HiSpec system like this before, please bang it in the comments. Okay, so back off hand cam. Brilliant. Okay, so it's slightly bigger than, because you were cute, you were small, you were cute. This is just made it a little bit larger.
Yeah.
So totally understand that reason. I've replaced some before myself. And I've got a choice, and I'm taking that rows down, and then I've got a decorating issue. And if that's all your hall stairs and landing ceilings, that's a world of pain, isn't it? An absolute world of pain.
You've done it now, haven't you?
Yeah, I know it's going to do that.
Chirping away. It's a bit like you. I think people have spotted in the comments that it obviously will fit other popular bases that are out there. This is a great opportunity for electricians, isn't it? You're in doing the ICI, you're doing some other work in a house, and you just happen to spot that the smoke detection system's either expired. We had a quick survey around the team, and Jenny's already fessed up that she's been in her house for 13 years. We're not revealing where the address is, and she's got problems with her smoke detectors. She's replaced all the batteries, and it's still got the problem. So we suggest it's the detector.
Rick's father-in-law, exactly the same. He's got himself a problem, hasn't he? So he needs his replacing because of end of life.
Neutral.
Yeah, as an in-joke. And then the other issue we've got is, obviously, with mine, I had my consumer unit changed, I had a new one put in. Property was about 13, 14 years old at that time, and even I make the mistake, and the guy's looked at it and he's gone, you need them replacing. And I just did it there and then, because it's I don't want to say it's a no-brainer, but it's a zero choice, isn't it? I'm not going to risk the value of my property and all the people I love within it for the sake of just replacing a few detectors. But for some electricians, price point is very important to the customer. Housing associations, it's uber important if I've got 4,000 to do, that I want to make sure that I get incredible value for my clients. You got any stories where this incredible value proposition could have come in from HiSpec? Yeah,
so we've had a couple of nice social housing projects come off in the last couple of years, and because they're not for profit, and this has been on our existing range, not this newer retrofit range, whereas they'll save, say, £100,000, £200,000 a year on their normal installs, on their upgrades, and they're then reallocating those funds to help the community they're supporting. Certain councils, Knowsley Council is a particular example in Liverpool, one of the poorest councils in the country, and they've now upgraded all their security systems off the back of the savings that they made, and also it's then changed the habits of the electrical and technical managers there to what else can they potentially value engineer with the exact same warranties and the exact same third-party certification of the market leaders.
I'm glad you went there, because that's where I was going to grab you next. I was going to go, because there's always a catch. So we're suggesting the HiSpec ones that fit on a base that's already traditionally there in these housing stocks would save me how much? I won't say the number, but you can.
You're looking anywhere from 30 to 35% savings across the board. And in social housing, it really, really starts to add up significantly when you're talking tens of thousands of properties.
Okay, have you got a number you'd like to throw out there that maybe one of these councils has saved?
Yeah, so a council in the north of England saved in excess of 1.1 million over 2 years. 1.1 million upgrade, that's upgraded to LD1 from an LD2 system they already had. So it is a no-brainer, and the biggest issue that other councils would have with it, or other housing associations would have with it, and the only issue they could possibly have, once we're in front of them, it's the fact that they can't afford to do the asbestos checks if they're going to remove a base. They can't afford to redecorate in every single property. You've got 6,000 properties, you're not going to do that. And ultimately, the saving then is really severely diminished. And you're looking 4 or 5 years down the line, the saving of replenishment stock and that sort of thing, but people can't look that far ahead, and budgets aren't made for 4 or 5 years down the line, are they? So
No, so we're talking an incredible number there. But again, it's a great proposition for a customer that you're working in if you're doing a few dwellings, isn't it?
Absolutely.
That you've got another option now, even if the base is already in situ and you wanted to stick with a similar footprint.
Yeah, it's about giving a bit more control back to the contractor, the installer, where they don't have to do what they've always done. Even necessarily they might want to, and they've done no issues with what they've always done. But also, you know, particularly in this economy, we're all here to make more money and to not bleed ourselves dry for the sake of just because they always did it that way. And that's where we come in, I feel like.
Yeah, always did it that way. And we know certain things in industry are exactly the same. So we can think of a very well-known lever connector. I can't name them. What are they called?
What, German one? Vargo?
Vargo, okay,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
Vargo. They're probably going to have an issue coming up soon as well, aren't they? And we're going to come to that in the second part, aren't we? What's running out of time for them?
Yeah, people's patterns. I mean,
We're going to do that in second section, and we're going to look at patterns and the fact that once they run out, what happens. We've got some great stories on those as well. But it comes down to trusted marks, isn't it? Where's it been tested? Have you just volleyed it through effectively maybe there's the front of house, garage where all the main stuff goes, and then the shunting them together, two cars welded in the background, and they're just going through there. How are you getting yours through a certificated pass system?
Yeah, that is the biggest misconception that we have to deal with every single day is you can design and develop it in the UK all day long, but it's made in China. And it's absolute categorical fact that there's levels of quality, there's levels of control you have with dealing with China. We've had issues in the past, don't get me wrong, and there'll be contractors out there maybe 9-10 years ago, they've bought an imported product from us, and it's been a product manufactured to their own standard, and we've popped our label on. Now, completely flipping it, we've got the IP design rights, we pay an insane amount to BSI, the British Standards Institute, for third-party independent certification. So we're audited personally by BSI, even our offices in Chorley, our factory over in China. You know, the specialism in certain regions in China is why the product's manufactured over there. You know, the PCB to the type of battery used to the resistors, it's all specifically chosen by us now, whereas it never used to be. It used to be very much an imported product, and I think the problem is when you've got a very strong market leader with extremely good reputation, with extremely well-renowned, good quality products, why would you switch? But the reality is that just because it's always been that way, doesn't mean someone like ourselves, a bit of a disruptor maybe, can't come in and prove it. You know, we've grown from 3 and a bit million to 20 million in less than 3 years, purely off the back of just proving what we're saying we're doing. Product quality, third-party quality assurance, quality control, to the point where it's all we talk about in our product meetings is compliance. We've just hired recently a compliance and sustainability manager. You know, former lawyer, she's now SEDEX approved as an auditor for SEDEX themselves. As we've got recently listed with Screwfix, part of the Kingfisher Group, they put our factory through strenuous tests for 9 to 12 months. And, you know, the proof's in the pudding. You know, if you want to, we see ourselves as, for value for money and the range we've got, and the price point we've got, I think we're the gold standard. And I think everything else is either a lesser version or potentially an overpriced version.
Now, are you putting yours through the same tests as any of the competitors?
Every single manufacturer or supplier of life safety fire products who want to be certified by the British Standards Institute, which is the highest third-party certification board you can get in the country, has to put their product through the exact same smoke tunnels in Hemel Hempstead, it's outside London. I was there just before Christmas. I've seen our products in the tunnels, seen competitors' products, you know, they're lined up to go in the same tunnels. That is the gold standard. It's in Hemel Hempstead. No matter where the product is put together, assembled, where the components are made, imported or what, Hemel Hempstead gives the final tick and seal of approval. And, we've started to really get a really good, strong relationship with those guys now, and we want that to be across the board for all our products of life safety, the emergency lighting, standard lighting, sight lighting, that sort of thing.
Just to unpack that, obviously loads of products. You know, you'll go on a well-known online retailer that offers, I believe, next day free delivery if you pay an annual subscription, and you'll see loads of smoke detectors and things like that. And everyone, always the ones, and we see lots of times, they'll have an EN number to it.
Yeah.
They might have a UKCE mark to it. That is significantly different to getting what we see here, that familiar kite mark, as people used to refer to it in the past. That's the funny little thing there that looks like the kite, Gary.
Focus. There we go. So, yeah, got the kite mark.
So when you're on about paying the independent, that's what you pay a lot of money for that certification.
Yeah, so for example, that kite mark right there is the reason why we didn't launch in September. So our products are tested to the hilt at our factory as a number one protocol. You know, contrary to popular belief, they're not batch tested. They're independently tested twice. Every single product that leaves the factory.
Okay.
And then we go the extra level, that third-party certification, to get that British standard tick of approval and that stamp, which is that kite mark. What comes with that kite mark, one of the many things is that every year when BSI audit us, they audit the product, so they audit the components. You haven't changed something just to get it past the kite mark certification, then 2 years later, you've changed a couple of components and it's actually not the product it was. Every year you get audited. It's the audit process is a benefit. And this product is been going through, this product particularly is the last one of our smoke alarm range that is being certified to that kite mark. The kite marks we have on all the other products, they're continuously now updated and upgraded every year, and this is the next product, and that's why we're launching in 2 weeks of this once the certification is all.
Okay, so if and I'm sure there isn't, but if in our industry there was any scaremongering on any of our sectors, you've actually just displayed all those myths by what you're doing with the product is equal to what anyone else is doing with their products. But of course, it's easier when maybe you're deep into the market already to suggest that you're doing something different maybe than somebody else, and you're suggesting you're doing something very similar.
Yeah, and I think it comes down to, if you do the same as us, why is it not the same cost? And I just think there's 20, 30 reasons that, you know, none of my business are why, but we're a very lean business. You know, we only have people in the business that can add value, and we've got a fantastic team, and every single person would say they need more people in their department than what they've got. Right. And I think that is highlighted in our cost and reflected in our cost, and also, you know, we want to actively go out there into the social housing market, make a difference to them, because I've seen it happen with the few contracts we've got. You know, out of 1,600 registered social landlords, you know, we're a handful with 10, 15. It's nothing, you know, and they are astronomically changing the areas they're in because of the savings they're making. Not just with our product, but the way they're thinking, not just ordering it because they've always ordered it, or another 5-year contract, another 10-year contract. They're actually looking at exploring whether it's innovations or solutions that the likes of ourselves can offer.
Yeah. Now, some interesting, just a few questions we've had in. Obviously, people are fitting similar products, should I say, and they've asked, what do you do about radio linking modules?
Yeah, so we have a separate radio frequency module. So in our current range, it's built into the base, whereas in this new range, it's actually an additional module because that will need to go into the head, because obviously the base is already existing in the property.
Right, okay, so if you're taking off and leaving the original bases and fitting yours, just a little module.
Yeah, a little module.
The little insert we've got on the back.
There you go.
That fits in there. There's a little back there again.
Makes logical sense, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, so just get it in focus. There it is there. So it just fits in that little gap there. That's good. Yeah. That's all because obviously the base is remaining there. It's a good thing for the planet though, isn't it? To leave that on the ceiling. Can I buy these heads on their own then, or have I always got to buy the base?
Yeah, absolutely. So we do, as standard, we do it as a full product, but the head only is an option as well that we'll be offering straight away. Again, you know, you're not just unpacking the box, throwing a piece of plastic in which is going to end up in landfill eventually. You know, we've got our own carbon neutral goals and our own sustainability practices. We're an EcoVadis bonds member, so in terms of sustainability management, puts us in the top 25% of companies in the world in terms of what we're doing. You know, people can say, yeah, but you know, you're manufacturing in the Far East and bringing it over, but we're doing everything to offset what we're putting out into the atmosphere, and it's all you can do, I think, really, as a product manufacturer. Again,
I do struggle with that. The minute you talk about these type of products, electronic components and all the rest of it, and we talk about, obviously, places like China, lots of people like to do most of it over there and just sprinkle it into a box over here to try and sort of give it a little bit of a wash, don't they? At least you're being upfront. How many people would say, yes, we get our X, Y, and Z, maybe it's circuit protection, light fitting, etc. You're clearly suggesting you're over there. Have you got much control over the plants over in China? Yeah, exactly that. The transparency, or the lack of transparency, is crazy. You know, and we were one of them. You know, 2-3 years ago, I'd say, yeah, it's designed, developed in the UK, manufactured in China. Whereas now we're saying, no, we manufacture in China because that's where the expertise is, and that's what we can lean on. So we have significant control over the exact processes, the components, the supply chain of where the components are actually from and where they're sourced. So it's not just about, put a lithium battery in. We specify the exact type of lithium rechargeable battery we want in each alarm, and we need to have full transparency of their supply chain of where the lithium ions come from, for example, up to the plastic in the bags, or the shower cap, as they say, on the actual smoke alarm head, to make the whole product and the whole
all packaging as a whole is 100% recyclable as part of this process as well.
That's good. Compelling story, I would suggest. Is there any comments coming in that you want to address at this stage? Obviously, people must be got a whiff of the other one, I would imagine.
Yeah, well, there's a way for that one and the one. There's obviously people asking about innovation in terms of apps and things like that. You know, is there any plans for the future for a sort of an app so you can someone? I don't know if I'd want to know when I'm away from home that the smoke alarm's gone off and the house is burning down.
Well, yeah. Well, maybe you would.
Yeah, I think so. So we're developing an IT solution at the moment. So part of our R&D facility over in China, they partner with the University of Hong Kong and Shenzhen, and again, that's the expertise. There's 60 employees there who are just constantly working on how to implement the product. And the big thing for us is engineer the product, but keeping the cost down. There's no point for us. We know our place in the market right now at this moment, and we are not a technology company. We're very much heavily built and bred on salespeople, and that's where we will be. And we're not a technology company like others are. We are very much, we want great quality products and we want to innovate, and we don't want to be left behind, but at the same time, we're not going to sink the ship for something that maybe we've not got the expertise of. And I think we've got so much to go at in this market that IT solution, so the data extraction on our carbon monoxide detectors, for example, is something that now is actively in the product, and that will then also be transferred into the range of smoke alarms like this and like the current range we've got gradually over this year.
Yeah, I mean, I would say from feedback I've had from people in the industry, especially with social housing, is they don't want products that are too technical, especially if you're relying on the customer's Wi-Fi. They move out, change. It's a nightmare. I have some at home that are a well-known brand who also has a search engine, who make smoke detectors, which I'm led to believe actually aren't compliant to British standards.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
the heaters.
Yeah, but they do a fantastic job, because when I was the first time I found out how effective my mother was staying, and I got an alert on the train that the smoke alarm had just gone off in the kitchen.
Oh, right, okay.
And then closely followed 5 minutes later by a call from my mother asking, how do you switch the grill off? So that was a double audio warning, that one.
If we start falling in love with this design today, okay, how quickly will it hit those shelves, and what shelves will it hit?
Yeah, so we're looking at about 2 weeks till we launch now. We're just finalising a few little administrative bits. And you can buy from any national electrical wholesaler throughout the UK. Majority of independents. We're online. eFIXX is a relatively new stockist of ours. They've got a cracking reach of our current range. It's something we'd hope to get there as well for the ease of being able to pick up.
So again, lots of people say Screwfix X, Y, and Z. Everyone's in there. MK are in there. Schneider in there. You name them, they're in there. So I could find myself on a Saturday afternoon or a Sunday, and I've got...
When other wholesalers are closed.
They are, aren't they? Okay, I may be just straying into somewhere else, maybe a Screwfix or somewhere like that. Once the product's in there, got that much of your stuff in already, this will go in. And I think that's a great place to be, because people will not necessarily in that environment, maybe in a different part, wouldn't search for a brand name. They'd search for a heat or a smoke detector, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
Obviously, and then we're going to be effectively offered up a couple of different prices.
Yeah, and I think this range is quite different from our current range. That does very, very well in Screwfix at the moment, and very, very well for our wholesale customers. And our predominant route to market, 95% of our market is electrical wholesale. A few plumbers merchants and a few online resellers, but the electrical wholesale market really that's where the contract social housing are going through, and that's who we partner with for that reason. At the moment, if you wanted a smoke alarm, like you said, on a Sunday morning, you go to Screwfix. We can type it on the app, smoke alarm, and it will come up as, I think, the middle of the ground, most evenly, fairly priced product for the features and value that we offer, for the exact same warranty as the market leaders, and the exact same testing and certification, seal of approval. Because the other thing that we do get is, well, it's a life safety product, we're nervous about switching over. I'm more nervous that we're not gone through the correct tests and processes before we launch a product. That if a fire goes off, it doesn't go off. So no one's been more nervous than me than making the switch. Yeah. I'm not going to sit here and talk on and on about it if I'm not extremely, extremely confident. Our returns rate, which includes just general returns and not actual fault, is 0.081% per 100,000 units. And even that, it's coming down daily, but I keep track of it all the time. We keep quarterly eyes on that. We just don't have issues. We absolutely did used to have issues 6, 7, 8 years ago, like I said before, where a bit of dust ingress, but then you change how the product is designed and developed. And that is the problem with how historically getting a product off the shelf. We're now getting the feedback, and as you get bigger and better contractors dealing with us and using the product, they're more likely to give you the feedback. And maybe 10, 15 years ago, a very, very, very small independent wholesaler who was also selling brooms and sweeps and sweeping brushes and stuff like that, their customers aren't going to give you the feedback, they're just going to bid it. And that's where we're really trying to innovate based off feedback and contractor feedback. And this year is all for us about contractor engagement. And I'll send thousands of products out for free for install just to get feedback. That to me is more valuable than any marketing tool, really.
Yeah, don't they? Yeah. Well, we never struggle with getting feedback from the eFIXX community, Gary, do we? That's, yeah.
And my push there is it's time for a change. So wouldn't it be great? We focus in a lot of things in the electrical industry. We focus in on safe isolation, don't we, and compliance and all the rest of it. But for me now, maybe it's time for a change, is to maybe focus in on the maximum cycle being 10 years. Okay, we've seen on the news, haven't we, some horrendous things that have caused instances of electricals X, Y and Z, maybe led to a fire and all the rest of it. But having a smoke detection system and heat within a dwelling that's actually regularly focused in on, but now to have the opportunity to actually give a very good reason to change, and one that is financially very viable for lots of people as well. I can see people slipping it into the EICRs, and maybe when they're changing those consumer units to make it more of a, have you thought, I've had a little look, if we're changing your board because it's X number of years old, obviously your smoke and heat detectors need replacing at the same time. And actually, we're going to be offering our customers a very good reason to change it. So it's time for change. Are you going to join Gary's Time for Change campaign? Are you going to show me that you're popping out those smoke and heat detectors in order to replace them? I think that's something we can run with. And I'd love us to run with that as a community, folks. And we'll start it off here. We'll probably continue it on the news because, again, it's all about, obviously, saving people's lives and having those detectors changed. Mine were done after 13 years. My sisters are due. I did my mum's when I did mine. Yep. We know that Jenny's is due. Rick's father-in-law is. How many other people are out there just sitting there with something screwed to the ceiling that no longer works? Now, we're all about, as you said before, having the X, Y and Z, the best of this, compliant, all the rest of it, and it don't work. Who would know? Because it's been on the ceiling for too long and it's gone past its shelf life. So, time for a change, folks. Are you going to join Gary? Time for a change.
Yeah. No, that'd be good. I mean, question just on the on Screwfix. Is it going to be heavily stocked at Screwfix? Because there's some grumblings in the community that a lot of you go to Screwfix and the bits you want are on the old next day. They're in the catalogue but not on the shelf.
Well, because we're a relatively new supplier to them, it's a slightly longer process to get, in every store and this and that. But the demand and what we're tracking for and the demand generation that's come extremely quickly. I can't see a world where it won't be heavily stocked.
So it's customer driven basically. If people ask more for the product, there's more chance of it being on the shelf.
Yeah, and every month the sales out that we get and our commercial guys go through, it's shooting through the roof every time. And to the point where we have run out of stock on there a couple of times within the first month or two, which to me is shocking. But I think it shows the demand. It shows the demand for the price point, but also the demand for a smoke alarm, not this brand of smoke alarm, just a smoke alarm. And I think that's what a lot of people are probably missing, that because they're used to a certain, none of my friends know any smoke alarm. I don't think half of them know my smoke alarm brand. People don't know. And I think we've got to be able to supply someone a smoke alarm for their property that they can afford, because the reality is if you can't afford it, and you can't afford a system of 3 or 4, maybe we'll just put one in, and maybe that won't interconnect to your landing upstairs and wake your children up in the room. It's about affordability, but with zero compromise, and that's what we feel like we've got.
That's a great push. You should take that segment out and get that played regularly, because that is absolutely banging, isn't it? That we can do that, and we can do it at a price point that suits everybody as well. Yeah. Again, it's time for a change, folks. You can join me on my campaign.
Yeah. And obviously, there's a few people missing from the set tonight. Obviously, our colleague Joe Hammond, but he is in the comments.
Oh, yeah, he is taking over. Mr. Robinson isn't tonight.
Yeah,
so
we know Joe bounces off the wall at funny angles sometimes. We have got a little segment coming up on LinkedIn, if you missed it when it was live on the show, where he thinks he can find electric cables with divining rods.
Right, okay, yes. Okay, yeah.
But apparently, earlier in his career, he was assured that the CB radio from taxis would affect the wireless system on smoke alarms. Yeah?
I'm sure they've solved that. Yeah. Okay, we're not...
Have you heard that one recently?
Not that one, but if they're not properly EMC tested, which is part of the standard, then that's where you can ring a doorbell and your smoke alarm will go off. But again, it's the old school way of thinking that's just because it may have been like that in the past, the level of quality assurance now has just gone through the roof. So it's impossible to stay afloat, you know, if you don't adhere to it.
And again, a lot of the way that the electrician can drive the wholesaler's appetite for this by going in and asking and requesting it. We're 10 odd days so's out, so obviously they'll be out there in the wild. We'll be part of that campaign, hopefully, to push it out there. But to have that electrical wholesaler and you go and ask for it, we know experience-wise with people like Doncaster Cables and Earthshore Cable, they were not being stocked for political reasons in some wholesalers. Okay, there was a thing going on there, but people were walking in, demanding it, and eventually some of these places that probably in the past would have said we won't stock Doncaster Cables actually had to stock them. So maybe, for your point of view, maybe if you're a little bit further back on the shelves historically in these sort of places and people start asking for it, it's going to come forward, isn't it? Exactly. And you're going to be winning on price. And obviously we just explained that the actual process of testing it is identical to anyone else in the market, which is good. Which is good.
It's interesting on the EMC actually. That was a you forget about that. It's I didn't realise setting the perhaps Joe's modern one. He now means doorbell, not CB radio. So 10-4, Joe.
Right, okay. So we got a little bit of Rick at some point coming in tonight. Do you want to consume some of those while we shuffle in Rick? Shall we bring in the old boy?
Yes, we can. Yeah. Where is he? Where's he hiding?
Yeah, so we'll bring in Rick. I think we've got a short to play before he comes in. So as that's playing, let's crack on with the short.
Bingo!
Oh, bingo, love it. Yeah, bingo, and you're in C. Okay, so obviously you like something that beeps. We've got something down here that beeps, obviously, when there's an issue and all the rest of it. You've been playing around with this tracer. Okay,
yep,
keep your questions coming in. Gordon's going to be concentrating on those as we look at this. Is a little bit of Rick, isn't it?
Yeah, it's good, is this, yeah. Definitely get you out of a pickle if ever you need it. So
Shall we just explain what they probably saw there on the screen? We had a live socket, okay, and I'd blanked out the consuming or distribution board, I should say, three-phase distribution board. I blanked that out, so we didn't know which circuit was, and you were set the challenge of obviously only turning off that circuit. Yeah, okay, and use this tracer tester, okay, in order to do. But it was done live. Could I have done it dead?
You could have done it dead as well, yeah.
Ah, right, so it didn't matter which way around we were trying to hunt down that circuit.
No, I mean, and on the screen as well, it will also indicate, I mean, it won't at the moment, but so when it's switched on, and it's obviously the circuit's energised, and this is plugged into it, transmitting and what have you, it will show on screen that there's energy on there. So if you were to kill the circuit, it would still be transmitting the signal, so you could still find the circuit, but it would tell you that the energy had been, well, de-energised.
Okay, we've only used it in its very mildest form, haven't we? Yeah. So we've only done one little bit of that.
Yes.
Feedback?
I think it's good. I think it's good, yeah. Especially for locating cables that are hidden behind walls, you know, plastered in junction boxes, cables under floor. I mean, we haven't tested it.
I thought you stopped doing wiring systems. Okay, you must stop doing that, Reg. You stop plastering walls.
But yeah.
I'd be interested to know from the viewers actually who's got a circuit tracer like this, because the first time we've dropped one in, we get sent loads of gadgets, don't we? Absolutely
loads of gadgets.
And yeah, circuit tracer seem very popular across there. If you've got a friend who's called Hank or Chuck, they've probably got one.
Yeah, I mean, they've got our plug, and they've adapted it for the Europeans and obviously the American ones too.
Yeah, no, they've changed their plugs. Their receptacles are coming our way, mate. We'll be all right. And it's from Ideal Industries, which is obviously not something we normally expect from Ideal Industries. We're used to maybe their lever connectors and some of their enclosures in order to store them in as well. So so that's what
I'd like to know if anyone's used one of these defined cables buried in the wall. Is that what they're using them for?
Yes.
Or they're using some other methods?
It's got obviously non-contact voltage on it as well.
Oh, right, okay.
So you can identify live circuits if there's a bunch there. If you're if you're in the trunking.
Now, Maze, we're going to be trying this out over the next few weeks. We've watched some American videos, so they're obviously correct. And then we saw someone even locating cables underground with this.
Yeah.
And obviously how does that work with our armoured cables, which haven't been adopted widely in America yet, but obviously it's going to happen next week because they're now taking our 13 amp plugs.
Yeah, they have. Okay, yeah, interesting on that one. So, new product. Rick loves a new product. You've got your own tool page now. Did you know that on the website? You've got your own page for the tools. Okay.
I posted it on my LinkedIn. I thought,
oh, you're on LinkedIn
let
now.
folk know that I'm there.
You've joined. If you are on LinkedIn and want to join Rick's party, okay, he is on there. He's becoming a little bit more prevalent with his posts at the moment. So again, go along. Feel free to give him a little follow as well with that one.
Yeah. And it's interesting, actually, anyone who, if you are on LinkedIn, you can actually find most members of the eFIXX team over on there. Yeah, so, I mean, you hop over there and feel free to link in and hurl some more abuse over there, especially at Gary. Yeah, people often try to track us down on the different platforms, but LinkedIn is where you will find the whole team and a little bit of banter going on between us as well. So I would say, yeah, have a pop over there. And we post exactly the same videos that you'll see out on YouTube and links to them and other things as well.
But there's always a reason to go over there. Obviously, you can follow eFIXX as a page, but you have early access to news. It goes out first thing in the morning, where we only release news on YouTube later on in the day. So we always like to give you a little bit of extra value over there, that you get things at different times of the day and sometimes unique posts to LinkedIn as well. Now, I've had some fantastic people on over the years, okay, and obviously nothing's interlinked here in the show. This is a completely separate section, Gordon, where we're going to be talking about maybe patents.
Oh,
how often or how long will a patent really last for on a product, say, for instance?
Yeah, so typically 25 years.
25 years, so I'm thinking there, 25 years, and then it would run out.
And then it runs out.
Okay, what does that mean to, say, somebody who had a patent after 25 years and it ran out? What's their problem?
Then basically anyone can use that technology.
So if they've created something, it can be replicated in the wild again?
Yeah, so a lot of it happens. If you take an example, the most common one people from is like a drug. Yep. So someone invents a drug.
Clarify, quickly the algorithm. So,
a one that the doctor would prescribe.
Okay, thank you very much.
Not one that you'd inhale. Inhale.
Still went there.
Yeah. Not one, you know.
Okay.
Yeah. Not one that you inhale your cough medicine through. Drug patents. You know, this company spend billions of pounds on it, developing these drugs. They get a patent because it's absolutely revolutionary.
Yeah. Okay, makes sense.
To get a patent, you have to disclose how you've actually created something.
Okay.
So you have to give away your secrets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now you're patent down.
So nearly patent.
Doing that, you get 25 years.
You get 25 years to exploit that.
Make hay while the sun shines.
And make hay when the sun shines. And then
once it's finished, so example, I don't know if this is the case, so there's Nurofen and there's ibuprofen. There's a massive difference in price.
Yeah.
49p or £2.49.
Yeah.
But it's the same thing, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, okay, I've got that right. Okay, yeah, I thought that, so I always go for the 49p one.
Yeah, I thought you went for the £3 one.
No, not on that.
Yeah.
No.
There you go.
So,
yeah, and that's exactly, so there you get 25 years to make as much money as you physically can, repay your development costs.
So you can pump the prices up at will, really, and if you've got a dominant market, that sort of thing, yeah?
Yeah, but you look what happens, obviously drugs, you know, American companies tend to do it, and then once they come off patent or patent, as the Americans would say, then
it's free game.
Free game. But obviously drugs become cheaper, more people in the world can use them, becomes a healthier place. Now, obviously drug companies are aware of that and obviously have to keep innovating.
Yeah,
to keep those profits. And it's the same in everything, whether it's smoke alarms, connectors, bits and pieces. If you want to stay at the top of it, you have to keep innovating. But obviously a lot of stuff drops off and that presents opportunities.
Now, we often think a patent is the whole thing. So let's say I've got this wonderful, smoke detector here and I own a patent on it. It might be just a very small part of that has got the patent on it, hasn't it? It's not necessarily the whole thing. So you've got some personal experience on patents, haven't you?
Yes.
So give us an example of something you patented in the past, and then we'll link it back to some of the wonderful products that we've had, and we'll show them on screen in a minute.
Yeah, so there's a lot of back in. It's actually, it's probably still got a few years to run. So some patents on LED drivers that are out there.
Yeah.
So I used to have a nice little patent on some elements of controlling red, green, and blue LEDs.
Okay.
That controls batch variability. So when manufacturers make LEDs, you've got massive tolerances.
Okay.
It used to be quite a clever way of doing that. Some other ones on optical systems that actually now see in street lights and things like that. But people see a product and think, this has got a patent on it.
It's a screwdriver.
Yeah. That's it. So if you could have a patent on a screwdriver, it'd be fantastic, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
It would last for 25 years. But then actually, you might say, this probably might have a patent, but actually it might just be a little bit of the handle that's got a patent. Then it might be actually, oh no, it's that little bit inside the handle.
Okay.
So it's not the full thing then?
So it's not the full thing. So you can have a patent.
Like I've got a hole in it. That's my patent. I've managed to put a hole in there
Yes.
so I can put something in like a...
So you can still make a screwdriver, but not one with a hole in it.
All right, okay.
And that's where people sometimes fall down on patents. They think that it covers the whole product or the whole range or everything that company makes. It can be one tiny element. And the trick is obviously to have a patent that covers as much as possible. So I want a patent on the whole screwdriver. If I can't have that, you start chunking away until you get down to the bit. And then the flip side of it is, how easy is it for somebody to create something similar
Work its way
that
round.
doesn't infringe your patent? So if I had written a patent and said this has got a hole in the top, I might have accidentally put it's a round hole.
Okay, so I put a square hole in it.
So I'll put a square or a triangle, and it's literally that's how you get around patents.
Right, okay.
So a lot of, if you take screwless connectors, obviously there is one brand that has excelled over the years. They might have an orange lever.
Okay. You said Vargo earlier on.
Yeah, and they have.
So I've seen some knocking about with green.
Yeah, and they're in green, but there are other screwless connectors out there.
Because they've got round their patent.
Because certain parts of the Wago one will be done in a certain way, and the other ones...
And I'm sure this is something you've come up with, in fire and smoke, that other people will have patents. Obviously, have you got any of your own as well?
We've got any patents, we've got intellectual property rights.
So, good for me. What's the difference?
Yeah, so we've got the IP and the rights on the design of the product. So whether it's aesthetic, whether it's the positioning of the components, not the functionality of the product.
Okay.
So in an ideal world, something like this couldn't be emulated in the UK or Europe because of the design right that we've got on that product for, I think, 10 years.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's again another type of protection. So again, people think you design a product. A design right is the look of a product.
Okay.
Yeah. And the great thing about it is, so patents are really expensive, and you have to pay a lot of money to keep them enforced in every country you want to keep them in.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Every country.
Yeah.
It's all the countries.
So I know I've had people I know Trevor EV Blocks has spent a lot of money on his EV Blocks patent, which you'll think, it's a concrete block goes in the ground. I don't know what he's got patented on it, but he's managed to get one, and he's now successfully licensing that product
It's Australia and
across the
America.
world.
Yeah.
So something's protecting them there, but he obviously has to pay a lot of money. But the design rights could be great because it's actually quite quick. You just say, that is my design.
Yeah.
The look of it.
Yep.
And if someone makes something that looks the same or similar or even just shrinks it a little bit.
But that's now anyone's, isn't it?
Yeah, so the only thing protected for us is the alarm as a whole.
Okay.
And the design right of that.
Yep. Okay. So this is just...
That is just plastic.
Thank you. Okay, it was me thinking it was made out of gold. Okay, yeah, no, okay, so that's free for all now. Well, love it. So that's opened.
Paul Tipton in the comments actually quite right. So everyone remembers the 2D fluorescent lamp.
Yes, I do.
It started out as a thorn, as a patented thorn lamp.
Oh right, okay.
And then obviously as it got to a certain lamp, everyone started making the 2D lamp.
So as part of this range, we're trying to offer a retrofit solution for housing, particularly social housing. So we have a gear tray. It's a 15-watt LED gear tray for those polo fittings. So when they remove the 2D lamp and then they put a gear tray in, then they replace the gear tray again and again. It could be anybody's. Any of our competitors can put their gear trays in our product and vice versa. And that's a huge thing, particularly in social housing, because a lot of the companies that had the bulkheads at the time and that industry, they don't even exist anymore. So there has to be an ability to retrofit it because what's supposed to happen? The council can't just get a budget to then replace all the fittings. Again, asbestos checks potentially, redecorating costs potentially, that sort of thing. Whereas this, you just remove the head, the three screws for a gear tray, remove another gear tray and put it in ours, and just it's the place point.
But sustainability as well, isn't it? We'll be chucking away something that's on the wall or ceiling that's in very good condition, but unfortunately has passed the internal aspects past its life. Just change it out and off we go again.
Exactly. And if you think of this example here with our smoke detectors, the plastic base is effectively the body of the 2D fitting.
Yeah.
So that should be almost stay until the plastic disappears. Sort of thing,
Why falls off the roof.
Why can't you fit and forget? And then the components and the clever bits, so to speak, whether it's the thermistor for the heat alarm or whatever, that should always obviously be monitored, tested, certified, reapproved, retested, recertified constantly. But
after 10 years, that is not going to be expired its life.
No.
Okay.
But what we're seeing is something that's happened in, a company that we work with a lot, Lewden Electric. They invented what was called the GST connector, which is used in most marshalling boxes. Anyone who works in commercial world will see these marshalling boxes in the roof above office ceilings. That was the first pluggable wiring system, but obviously they had a monopoly in that while the design right was in force.
Yeah.
But now it's not, and loads of people use that connector system. You can buy an equivalent to a GST-18 from multiple manufacturers, and we featured in the facts with some stuff we did with Flex 7. You can plug them together. You can things like the MC4 or a different one, but that's a different, slightly different
solar connector.
But again, that is a similar question, isn't it? It's compatible, but in the regulations, not compatible. We're saying this smoke alarm might be able to use other bases, but you're not allowed to cross-populate systems.
No, and I'll give the good example of that. That would be having 2 different circuit breakers in a board. They might fit in there, okay, but that's not what we do. So if I was going into a property, I'm going to change all 3 heads. I've got the absolute flexibility now to choose beyond, possibly in the old days, just one supplier of those. I could keep the decoration down to 0, flip out the heads, put in the ones from HiSpec, save the customer money, and out we go.
Perfect.
Yeah, it's great, isn't it? Yeah, time for a change, folks. Time for a change.
So I guess what we're saying is, as a market matures, you get more choice.
Yeah, you do. And you gave me a great example earlier on, because I need great examples. You talked about that Fiesta, didn't you?
Yeah.
That after a certain period of time, it's now 81 it was made, and you can't get a radiator exhaust, anything for it, because Ford have stopped supporting the products for it. But you say that's where these other people come in with their...
well, that's why design rights expire.
Yes, so other people.
Because so people can support products.
Yeah, it's good.
And it's how do you keep all those classic cars on the road? Otherwise, Ford have to keep making parts forevermore.
They're not going to do that, are they?
Yeah.
Oh, that's really good. Right, we've got one in front of us here. Let's have a look at this, because we won't know what it is, but it'd be good for people to guess what it is. Oh, cheers, Rick. So I've got a screwdriver, whether I can get it undone. So this here is made by, who's it made by?
That's Stanic, you've forgotten there.
No, it's his daughter's 2 names.
What are they called?
They're called Stanic. So what we've got here is obviously a cooker outlet plate and a socket. We've seen this before. It came in. What a lovely guy. We showcased it there. But as we turn it over, obviously it's just connected with possibly the 6mm cooker cable going in here. It could be 10. And it provides both. Now, this is patented, but we don't know what that is, do we? You'd think, looking at it, it's everything, wouldn't you? He's managed to nail down everything. But he's got some... design right on this that means that if somebody else wanted to make that, they're going to have to make it in a slightly different way in order that they don't infringe his patent. It probably would be easier to license it off him, wouldn't it? Okay, and if anyone's got their hands on them, they are out in the wild now. Please leave a comment on those. Or if you haven't seen them before, leave your thoughts. So 6mm or 10mm cable, followed by our outlet and a socket. I think it's just great. I do, just great.
Now, Chris... bit of advice. So obviously Michael, he's had an invention. He works in social housing, but he wants to get that in front of as many, he thinks, wholesalers as possible. What advice would you actually give him on that process?
I think it's two different things really. I think we have a lot of really good wholesale customers who put us in front of the right people and direct us on where our products are best suited. But unfortunately, particularly in the space we're in, they are beholden to who owns the spec, because if there's 3, 4, 5 wholesalers on an estate, whoever best price wins really, doesn't it, on a specified product. So, can that wholesaler then also cross promote? Can they actually influence the spec themselves? But slightly unlikely. So it's a hard one, but to me, it's opened my eyes the last 2 years that specification and the direct client specification, seeing the product, liking the product, demanding the product is the only way, in my opinion, now. I think contractor demand, contractor specification, and getting on side with the people who are actually installing the product. And if they don't want to install it, why? And if you do, fantastic, and let's tell more people. And that really is my advice, but, what do I know, really? Right,
so get in front of, get the customer to drive the demand. The wholesaler isn't going to do that job for you.
Yeah, exactly. I think nor do they need to. They've got 50,000 SKUs. Some of these guys are huge businesses. They've got very integral part of of the process, the supply chain process. And I think to expect them to also then be like, oh, are you sure you want that smoke alarm? Why about this one? Or are you sure about want that light fit? You want this one? It just seems impractical and probably a bit lazy thinking on the manufacturer's part. You know, you can't expect someone to sell something better than yourself, particularly someone who's really invented something like he has. So.
Have we got any more? Any more inventions that we can see?
A few that we've seen over the years. Second one was obviously the one that's famous for a lot of people is Richard Brooke. At, yep, what are you doing there, Gary? Oh, there we go.
Where's it gone?
I don't know. So yeah, that would have been a tough section. That would have been.
Yep.
So yeah, we've retrieved the mic. So yeah, Richard Brooke went on to Dragon's Den, absolutely crushed it. Didn't follow through though, did he? He didn't go with the offer.
Didn't
that was
take the investment.
No, they wanted to go out to the Far East to manufacture it at pennies each and all the rest of it, and he pulled away from that. Same as the people from Viperclip. Viperclip were on Dragon's Den, got offered the thing, and again, they didn't get through due diligence with them for their reasons, not the reasons of the Dragon. So is there any other ones out there that we've seen?
I mean, interesting. So Sockets, does a lot for, obviously, social housing for him. He invented that to help people out in social housing because they were doing one-day occupied rewires. That was his whole premise, that they could basically do the rewire, put the surround around the socket, and the plasterers could come in and do their bit safely, and then leave the installation in a safe state for the tenant, actually.
That's good.
But I believe he sells most direct.
We saw these very early on. I don't know whether they're still around.
They are. They're available from the 2 wholesalers that they were available for when it was loads of product.
Simple.
If you buy from Edmondson's in Nottingham, you can buy this product.
Okay, it was good though, wasn't it?
I think it's a great product, but that's, again, it's that catch-22. You've got a great idea for a product. The wholesaler will only sell it if there's demand for the product. How do you create the demand?
Yeah. You end up trying to be
Yeah.
Anything else? What else we got? We got no Brocket on there.
No, they're the 3. They're the 3 we brought up there, Gary.
Okay, I thought we might have shown the Brocket.
Yeah.
So yeah, on those ones as well. It's good. It's exciting, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'll tell you what is exciting as well, what people won't know is, even though you're probably an up-and-comer, a little racehorse in the making, but you're in your early stages, maybe you're a youngling, just trying to do a few furlongs and all the rest of it, you actually support eFIXX College Connections, don't you?
Yeah, we do, yeah. Yeah, that's I think we're going to our second year now, or second year?
You've crossed across 2 academic years,
that's
so
it,
class, if we're fluffing it up, you've done 2 years, I like it. So it's good. But again, what a difficult thing for you as a small grown business to say that actually you'll take some of your actual marketing budget and try and bring in that to actually colleges, even though you're not leading the market, even though you're not the biggest one in the industry, and you've also sent a member of your staff in with us to give them effectively a free CPD session for each of the groups as we rotate them around as well when they're there. I bet you haven't told many people that, have you?
No, probably goes under the radar a little bit, but I think for us, you're only as good as your customer now or in the past, and you're only as good as what's coming up as well. And I think us as a business, we're quite a young, hungry group. Our management team average age is like low 30s. We've got a great product, great price point. Let's get it out to everybody. But there's only certain areas we can have our own reach. Only having 7 guys on the road, for example, against our competitors of 30, 40 plus reps, it's difficult. And I think we need people like partnering with yourselves to go in, and these guys who have never seen a smoke alarm before, or have seen a smoke alarm but don't really know how to wire it, to get used to how to wire a HiSpec smoke alarm, rather than just another. How are we ever going to break that cycle initially of, well, we always done it that way, I've always used them, and also how are we ever going to help the industry, which all you hear about every event you go to, and I'm a member of like the Fire Industry Association, Lighting Industry Association, the Electrical Distributors Association, and the biggest issue is either recruitment or skill shortage. And I think if like yourselves, you have to be funded by sponsorship or by manufacturers who are willing to invest now. Like you said, you could argue that we should be putting all our marketing budget into trying to be on TV or trying to do this or trying to do that or whatever. But really, it's a long-term game plan, which is a big risk for us. But I think again, it goes back to what we are as a business. We are looking for longevity. We're looking for, to be a 50, 60, 70, 80 million pound business in a very short amount of time. And we want the next generation to align with our values as a business, and us be able to get in there a little bit and be able to add back, because at the end of the day, what added value can we actually add to the industry? as someone initially was a white label importer really, and we're trying our hardest to be all about quality assurance, sustainability, trying to lead on those sort of things, and giving back in our actual social governance is a major part of that, and which is obviously where you guys come in with College Connections.
And what an incredible pitch for yourself to be convincing yourself to join the College Connections. I like the way you've sold yourself into it with a brilliant pitch. So no, it's good. And again, you sent Ryan in with us as well.
Yep.
So, and again, very passionate about it, and we can add some incredible value to those as we go round. Just remember, folks, it's time for a change. Maybe some of the things we've done in the past can be different in the future, and the playing field's been incredibly levelled. There's no excuse now, is there? We can offer that back to our industry.
Absolutely.
And we're going to help you do that, and thank you for helping us on College Connections. It is greatly appreciated. And like I said, I probably said to somebody at some point, I probably can't justify your return on investment in the short term, but if we don't go, what an incredibly sad place our industry is going to be in the long term.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you for joining us on that. It really does mean a lot to me. Where do you want to go now, G-Dog?
Well, just on your college there, Gary.
Yes.
Yeah. Obviously, we always people always make massive assumptions.
Right.
That the apprentices learn everything at college. They come out knowing everything from EV chargers, solar, smoke alarms and stuff. Is there actually anything on fire detection in the syllabus?
No. So, again, they used to put in a smoke or a heat head in one of the little endpoint assessments of 5357 for the apprentices, just physically fit one of these things. Used to have a piece of MI, that got too complicated, so it became a piece of non-MI cable that's easier to fit, and all the rest of just to connect a head on there. They used to have just a head to go on AM2 and AM2S. But I'll defend colleges now, as we're on it. You might have a learner on an apprenticeship for 32 to 35 days in one academic year, and you'll repeat that through for 3 years before they become either part-time or just drop-in students in year 4 to complete it. So you're talking probably just around the number 100 days of direct teaching, of which you've got to touch every single thing, every single thing that they're ever going to do. That's impossible. You just pocketise it, then you do bits. It'd be lovely to do more motor control, but you don't. It'd be great to do a solar one, but you don't, or battery or EV. But you've got to remember, they didn't know Ohm's law before they arrived, or how to hold a tester to carry out insulation resistance tests and earth fault loop impedance. You've got to get those basics in, but where we can add incredible value, which we do, is those pockets of information that we give as free CPD training packages, and we do on College Connections, that add value to colleges up and down the country. We've got over 135 of them now in a WhatsApp group. They're all trying to help each other. So when we get a problem, we're in there and we're helping. So they'll always, there's some great people out there. I don't think they get some great press like lots of people in education. I think often it's easy to say, I didn't do very well on my apprenticeship when I went to college for less than 100 days. What did you do with the other 600-700 days when you were at work?
That's downlights.
Yeah. I do downlights. I don't sweep up. I do downlights. So that's one of my impressions at colleges. Yeah, so it's good. Yeah. So thank you. There's what we said for that one. So it's good. Connie, there must be some questions. Has anyone recognised this from somewhere before? Because I still can't place it. I can't place it.
Some people are saying they might have fitted similar-looking devices.
Yeah, absolutely. They're still on the ceiling.
And but hopefully they'll give some feedback on what they think of this other similar-looking device. But it looks great. A few questions on Scotland, actually. So Scotland always seems to be a bit ahead.
Yes.
In terms of what drives that in Scotland? Is it?
I don't know. It's sort of like it's a renowned thing that what happens in Scotland eventually happens down here. It happened with about 2-3 years ago. There's a regulation change for every privately owned property had to have interlinkable smoke alarms. So the only battery, but they had to be a sealed, tamper-proof lithium 10-year battery, and it had to interlink throughout the property. That rollout was forced a little bit on the public, and I think their funding just cut off halfway through, so it's a bit of a mess really. And I don't think it was a successful rollout. I think if it was, you'd start seeing that filter down here. I think eventually it will. And in Scotland, for example, there was a case in Glasgow where there was a flood, and the guy in the apartment below couldn't claim on his insurance because he didn't have interlinkable smoke alarms in the property because he wasn't technically insured on his house building insurance, and that was a flood. So they take it very, very seriously up there. I think a few of those incidents happened, not scaremongering them, but a lot of people went 100 miles an hour into it, and it got a little bit rogue as well, I think, with the installation point of view. There was a case of people charging Doris, who's 84 years old, 500 quid to install 2 smoke alarms, which are battery. They were putting a almost Pritt stick in it, but putting like a little Velcro stick on the back, popping it on the ceiling, And it takes, I mean, our radio frequency alarms take less than 15 seconds to interlink them all together, and they're charging 500 quid. And I think that was happening so often that just funds were just getting diminished rapidly. But they do seem to be well ahead of the game in a lot of aspects. Wales, again, they've got a certain legislation that requires sprinkler systems.
Yeah.
I mean, in Scotland as well, every new build that's built, so 25,000 new builds a year, they have to have a CO2 monitor for the clean air. Again, that's nothing that's ever come down here. So I don't know. I think, obviously, as somebody who sells smoke alarms, it'd be fantastic if the regulations change. And a big area of what we're trying to do now and what we've been doing last year and this year and next is all about getting our name out there. So when something does happen like that, maybe there wouldn't be absolute carnage, and maybe there wouldn't be price hikes and this and that, because all of a sudden it's not as appealing if it's going to cost you £700 to kit out your house, a relatively sized house, with an interlinkable range of mains smoke alarms, because it will be mains in the UK, in the rest of the UK if it came out. All of a sudden you could get a very similar package for 450 quid, say, and maybe you're more likely to do it, because then you've still got to pay the electrician, but you're not going to pay £1,000 altogether, or whatever it would cost if the costs continue to grow as they do. And there's certain manufacturers in our industry that your costs go up yearly for no apparent reason, I would say.
But that's pricing power, isn't it? So if you look at any effectively monopoly in any part of the world, once you've got a monopolistic status, you can drive your price up, therefore drive actually profits up. It's always good when a level playing field comes. You go back to that medical ones. If you've got that drug that happened to have solved COVID as a problem and you manage to hold that one, obviously there's something, you're just rinsing it, and eventually that will run out and you lose your monopoly status on that one. So yeah, it's nice to think that the level playing fields come, especially from your point of view. You suggested maybe 95% of the market is tied up by somebody else. Well, that's great, isn't it? Because some of that market's now become open and fair game for other people within our industry.
Yeah, and I think as well, it opens up the opportunity if we can, as we've grown in this market, we have had more competitors come into it, and I think it will take a handful of bigger, maybe more well-known manufacturers to add on this as a part of their range and sort of throw their hat in the mix and sort of just level it out for everyone a bit more, just a bit more of an open. Equal or approved actually mean equal or approved, not just be, no, that's a spec, which in other categories that we operate in as well, doesn't exist. You walk into a wholesaler, there's 10 different types of downlight manufacturer, for example, or a heating panel or whatever. I think that this is a big first step into that, I would personally say, but,
It's good. No, I think you spoke incredible reason. I'm in if no one else is. It's like, I think it's time for a change. Folks.
You're going to latch that one in there, Gary.
I'm going to try. 10 years or less. It isn't 10 years is not an aspirational number for changing these detectors. You don't push it to the limit. Yeah, you don't take your MOT right to the moment, do you? When you're hoping you pass the next day. Yeah, I know Robinson did. He had a week left. He said, with all his bad luck, he said he's tripping over all bad luck. His car has passed again.
Right.
Trailed through. Yeah, can't believe it. Yeah, all his bad luck and he passes first.
It's an interesting question. I'd sort of guess an answer. They say don't mix different makes of sensor. Is that because when you turn up the lab, it's tested as a system?
Yeah, I think that's the key. The key thing is you don't know, so why bother risking it?
Yeah.
And I think it's we can do our own internal tests all day long, but the certification is on the product itself. And how do you know after 3 years? If a HiSpec heat alarm goes off and it triggers another alarm, which absolutely has different components in, equal, better, worse, whatever, one could affect the other. I just don't think and I don't think there's no need to risk that either. This is not about that. This is about all the other elements around it that are non-electrical and non-safety. Really.
And you've clearly said in this, and I'll just go back onto it, if you're replacing one device because you give it a whack, maybe you caught it and you broke it, or you've brought something in from outside and you've just managed to smash this motor.
You sound like you've done that, Gary, have you? You keep saying have you painted over one of your smoke alarms? You keep saying it. Is that what happened?
I've whacked one before.
Have you?
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Yeah. It's a lot of pieces. Yeah. So,
was it with your head?
No. I was bringing something through the house. So
What were you bringing through the house?
And like I said, you give it a bit of a clout. You're saying, look at what you've got.
Look at the code and go reorder that.
Go with that again. But where you're replacing all of them, maybe you can actually affect your pocket as much as anything else, and that can be filtered down to the customer, which I think is good. Yeah. You up for a change? Your father-in-law, isn't he?
He certainly
He's
is.
a bit. He's
already been on,
He's a
hasn't
bit.
he?
He's a bit Yorkshire, though, isn't he? He is a little bit Yorkshire.
He's a good lad. He's
He's a bit close, isn't he? With the old cash. He still takes you on holiday every
He
year.
does,
doesn't
yeah. He does.
Like that, wouldn't
Texas all on holiday, yeah. It's spoiled that way, yeah.
So we've had a choice between. So he takes you on holiday. So
I'll fit his alarms.
he'll take you on holiday.
It's going to cost them 30% less than it did.
Value engineered.
Yeah. So, but if you gave your father-in-law, he's incredibly generous, we know that. If you gave him a choice on price, being a bit from Yorkshire, and you said to him, they're certified to exactly the same standard, exactly the same job, would he pick it on price?
Yeah.
Yeah, wouldn't we all? I don't know how you'd not pick it on that, because, you've done all the same tests, all the same laboratories, got the same length of warranty, same length of battery.
Yeah, and the only other thing I could possibly think of is the specific need for requirement that would link with another system that, in terms of maybe a data extraction element that we don't have in an alarm or something like that. But when it comes to regulations and what you require in a domestic dwelling in the UK, anything else other than the fact that if there's a fire, the smoke alarm goes off, is essentially over-engineered, is probably a bit dramatic, but it's a nice to have rather than an absolute requirement. And when you talk about social housing and budgets and where they can allocate the resources better, I just feel like it's a no-brainer. And I think that as long as we get to put it in the hands of the right people, I'd like to think it's an immediate change, or at least a real serious decision, and almost to the point of like, what is the actual reason that is there another reason I'm not aware of here that and we'll go we'll try and improve if that's the case, but I just don't believe warranties and certification are key, and they all match up to any leading brand.
It's a compelling story. I'm still desperate to cough, so maybe we can turn my microphone off while you talk.
You're going to cough it? Oh, dear. We still want to know what you hit that smoke alarm
Don't
with.
turn this way when you're going to...
Well, you haven't had it yet, have you?
If you had Gary's man
I
don't know how I am.
Them lemon sips are an absolute nightmare to get rid of. I've done loads of them this week as well. I can't believe you said they were to be taken orally. Yeah, okay. You want to see where I tried to put it the first time? So, yeah.
I don't know, you might as well have shoved it up your nose.
Yeah, okay. Just in football news, because obviously we like that one. Obviously the shirt is behind me, so if we see a little wider angle, we've got our Finding Volts back there, okay? Yeah, so they're their under-11s first season, female football. We are proud sponsors of their team.
How are they doing, Gary?
Last time out we won. Yeah. So we don't need to dwell necessarily on this week's game. Obviously the team they were playing were 5 years worth of experience. We've put our best seven on the pitch to start with. Got a little bit intimidated. The old manager, we know the manager, and he had a little word at half-time.
Yeah.
He brought the entire team off and said, I'm going to put on maybe the players that are keen, but maybe not as skillful. Yeah. He said second half we played a lot better because they went after them. Yeah. Absolutely, we lost 8-0. But okay. It was tight. Second half was tighter than the first half because they went after them. So, yeah, it just shows you sometimes, enthusiasm can overcome ability. Yeah, I found that working at eFIXX. I said, because I've got no ability. Fantastic.
And we're losing enthusiasm. There we go.
It's all good. It's all good. Well, Chris, I think you've done yourself absolute justice in this chair. I wouldn't suggest you did it when you were standing in front of the race wall. But again, there's always something to better. And you were chuffed, weren't you, Rick? That's why you were pleased to be on the couch. You've only met someone that's slower than you.
I only help out when I realise that...
You knew
slower than me.
You did have a body afternoon. So about 10 days or so before we can start seeing it. I take it they're sitting there waiting to just go, are they?
Yeah.
So, okay.
Yeah.
And again, if you're going to be doing them, please tag us in on social media posts. Please tag me in personally as Gary has and as eFIXX as well. I'll try and start sharing those as well. If you've got the ability to change, okay? I think it's time for change, Gordon.
No, time for change.
I think it's time for change. Yeah, safety on the ceiling.
Safety
on the ceiling. I've got two phrases. I'm gonna rinse.
We'll have to check. We'll have to check who else is using that hashtag first.
Yeah.
Oh, you stole talk the talk.
Yeah.
That's my one, wasn't it? That bloke said it was my one.
Yeah.
He owned that, didn't he? He went at us, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. Had he got a massive campaign about talk and fire? Did he get a fire specialist in? Talking of fire specialist, and we've got one of them coming up soon.
We have in a few weeks, actually. Yeah, if anyone remembers a while ago when we did do talk, we had Dr. Robert Weller in, who's great bloke.
He was a great bloke.
it's not someone you'd normally want to meet in your line of work, because he investigates electrical fires.
You tend to say my lord, I think, and that sort of thing, wouldn't you, if you were in the same dock as him?
Yeah. He's either working for the prosecution or the insurance company. So he's a fountain of knowledge. So he actually investigates electrical fires.
Yes.
And he's showed us some fantastic things in the past, how he has traced how electrical fires start. He chops, goes into the burned out remnants, pulls out the bits he needs to and starts chopping things to bits, and he will say, it was the electrician who did it in the meter box with the impact driver. Yeah. Because he can see in his stuff that he does that the screw was over tightened, under tightened,
thermal runaway,
all sorts of stuff. And so he's coming in along with one of Britain's only safe isolation providers, which I guess not many people are calling on the services of. But obviously in social housing, people do that, particularly for rewire. So we're going to be learning about that as well. So that's coming up in February.
That will quite nicely link into when obviously your detectors will be out there in the wild. And again, if you fitted any, get some photographs into us, we can share those in there as well. Obviously, ultimately, you prevent a fire by doing the installation correctly, but obviously you need detection in the event of something going wrong. I wouldn't suggest it would be an electrical fire. It might be something else, mightn't it?
Yeah, and trying to complete that triangle.
Okay,
we are trying to get there's a campaign by Crime Stoppers on energy theft as well. The
Gateshead area, you were often part of that process, were you? Some little Arab's just gone in and rushed into a shop, has he? Flicked him around the ear. He's tried to nick some sherbet dib-dabs.
Yeah. Community Action Trust Cash Reward, we call it. Yeah. So we're trying to bring that together. We'll see. We don't know if they're joining yet, but that will be. There's loads of good stuff coming up.
There is. But tonight, it's all been about yourself and HiSpec and what fantastic products they've got. I think we've levelled the playing field, and I'd like to thank you for that. I'd like to thank the fact that you've put it through all those rigorous tests so we can feel as electricians safe that we're installing it maybe on our own homes, on the homes of our customers as well. And hopefully those housing associations as well, as they roll it out as a larger model, will give everybody more confidence that thousands and thousands of properties out there are using these detection systems. And thanks for bringing that to us, Chris, and giving such a great story. And also, personally, thanks for the eFIXX College connections. Rick, thank you very much for joining us. We little gizmo. Was all good? Yeah, I like that. It's your saying, isn't it? And as always, Dido, it's always a pleasure to have you here as well.
You're doing all the work.
Yeah, but he hasn't got a camera on him tonight. He said, "Don't bring me in," so I can bring him in. He's there, folks. He's doing a bit. Bring in the hand cam. So there he is. It's all about his charisma. Okay, and if we keep the camera on, we'll be able to see her over there. She's already dated. Did anyone win tonight?
Yes.
That was Roy.
Is Roy right? Did Roy win?
No.
Okay. No, Roy didn't win. It was disappointing for everyone. Paul Taylor won this evening. Okay, and you can see. Look, we're on the telly. We're over here, and we'll be back in 1 week again. Is this becoming new? When we've got the team from Cosnick joining us. You want to see us in 7 days. Thank you very much for HiSpec. And let's roll the outro song.
There's a guy you gotta know, he's got the know-how. Chris from HiSpec, and he's showing us how. New smoke alarm, yeah, it's built just right. Easy swap, keep you safe at night. No stress, no mess, just clip it in. Upgrade your home, let the safety begin. If your old one's done, don't hesitate. Chris has the answer, but don't be late. It's time for a change. No more beats in the dead of night. It's time for a change. Quick swap out and you're set for life. Stay safe, stay smart, don't wait too long. Chris from HiSpec got it going on. On eFIXX TV, he's breaking it down.